Greetings from the 11th inning stretch. This is the weekly podcast, and today is June 16th. Alex, we have a lot to cover today. We were taking some notes down right before the show and like what we're going to talk about, and we came up with 4 things in league news. So we'll get right into it. The first thing that you brought up was Jose Reyes. He was designated for assignment by the Rockies. And what's interesting about it is that he hasn't played one game this season.
Yeah, he played 9 years for the Mets, I believe, in the Mets organization. Then he signed, I think it was like a 6-year deal with the Marlins and was like traded from there to the Blue Jays. Then he was traded from the Blue Jays to the Rockies in the Tulo trade. And when he was with the Mets, he was probably one of the best players in the National League, probably. And I just want to know, is it because of his domestic violence issue that he had? Was it because Trevor Story's playing so better than what they thought? I still think Jose Reyes has a lot to offer. It just caught me by surprise that they designated him for assignment. I wonder if they're going young to try and make that good stellar team here in the future.
I think it's both. Given what Story has done this season, it's obviously hard to ignore that. And if he has character issues, why would you take a chance on him if his replacement, aka Story, who's playing now, is already better than he is?
Yeah, I personally think it is the Trevor Story thing. I honestly believe that the Rockies here in the next couple years, they need to get some other positions locked down. First base is a big one, which Mark Reynolds is doing fairly decently there, good this year at first base for him. Catcher, I think they need a better catcher. And pitching, they need to work on the pitching staff so bad.
Very bad, yeah.
A lot more ground ball pitchers, not pop fly pitchers. But I think in a couple years they'll be competitive.
Pop fly pitchers in that ballpark is an absolute train wreck waiting to happen. No, but yeah, you're right. This is probably a move to validate Story in his spot at shortstop. If you have character issues, you don't want to touch that with a 50-foot pole because you just don't want to get your hands dirty with that. And third, you're right. They're probably trying to build. And you're not going to build with Jose Reyes at this point in his career. Any final thoughts on that for you?
No, I just the stories like that come into play. I believe Omar Infante was just designated by assignment for the Royals as well. I don't know what's going on there. I believe I heard that today.
And I think somebody's going to get Jose Reyes. He's still. I don't know if he's damaged goods or not. But I still think he has something to offer.
Well, and the thing is, too, is they have 10 days to either release him, trade him, or send him to the minors, is how that works, if no one knew. I know designated for assignment can come off as different ways at different times. But honestly, I think that they cut him. I don't think there's any reason to save him. I think either cut him or you look for a trade. You look for people who need a starting shortstop. I'm sure there's somebody out there who needs one really bad. So, get what you can. Even if it's for like a bucket of balls or something, get something out of it,
That's all I got there as well. We're going to rattle some of these points off pretty quickly because we have a lot to get to. Our next item of business is we're going to give a quick update on the All-Star ballots. Last week, we had kind of gone on a rant about how, at least I did, about how Chris Bryant should not be starting in the All-Star game. It should be Nolan Arenado, and I don't think it's close. So we have an update for you. I'll do the
AL poll, and I'll let you do the NL. Does that sound right?
Go right ahead.
Just a quick thing. I'll give Paul the honors of rattling off some Cardinal names. But just an update, basically, Salvador Perez basically has the lockdown on the American League catcher. There's no one going to catch him. He's at 2 million votes. Matt Wieters is second with 672,000. Not even close. No chance.
Yeah, that's a done deal.
Eric Hosmer starting at first base. he's only up by a little under 600,000 votes from Miggy. I personally think Miggy should start. He is one of the best right-handed hitters that we have in the game. For Paul's credit, Jose Altuve is leading second base right now, but Robinson Cano did make a push. He was fourth and is now second. So that's good. Dustin Pedroia finally made an appearance on the voting, which is good. Omar Infante, as I mentioned earlier, I believe was designated for assignments, and he's number 3. So I don't think he'll even go unless he's on another American League team. Third base, Manny Machado. That should be a hands down. Mike Moustakas, who's out for like the season, is second, right? Which I think is dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how Moustakas is in front of Donaldson, and Moustakas isn't even playing.
Yeah, Moustakas, I believe they said he was out for the season. I believe is what I heard.
Go ahead and keep reading, and I'll look it up.
So he's second. Like he said, Josh Johnson's third. Nick Castellanos, I think is one of the good guys in the league, is fifth right now.
Mike Moustakas is indeed out for the season.
Okay, so I mean, and he's second. I honestly think that the All-Star voting is broken, but that's
older than discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing we could get into later. But Xander Bogaerts, basically, he doesn't have a complete lock on the shortstop, but I'll just say right now, Alcides Escobar is second, and Alcides Escobar in my eyes, I wouldn't have a shot to start for my All-Star team.
Yeah.
Outfield, still the same as it was before. Mike Trout, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Lorenzo Cain are leading it, but Mark Trumbo and Mookie Betts are coming up close on all of those. Even Mike Trout. I mean, Mike Trout's only roughly 700 above Mookie Betts, or somewhere around in there. So, I mean, 700,000. So, that's a vote that could happen. Like I stated before, I'd love to see Jose Bautista and Rougned Odor start the All-Star game. I think that would just be great. I would love to see that. Brock Holt actually is going in as an outfielder apparently because he's in the voting for that. He's 15th in that, which is kind of surprising. David Ortiz is killing the designated hitter. I don't think that you would even have to vote for that.
No.
Nelson Cruz is fourth. He was that a couple of weeks ago. And Edwin Encarnacion actually is making a spot on there at the number 5 spot.
He has been playing really well the past couple of weeks, so that doesn't surprise me.
So that is your updated American League ballot right there. And I'll let Paul take over the reins for the National League.
Okay, so starting at catcher right now is Yadier Molina. If I'm doing my math right, he is up by about 80,000 votes or so. That's a very close race. 80,000 votes is really not that much. But that race will be between Molina and Buster Posey of the Giants. Shouldn't really surprise anybody. It's been like that the past couple of seasons. First base, Anthony Rizzo has that job on lockdown. He is up by well over 1 million votes. Brandon Belt is in a distant second, and Paul Goldschmidt is third, which, Alex, it kind of surprises me. Paul Goldschmidt is a really, really good player, and yet he hasn't had that great of a season, and he's only at third place on the ballots.
Well, see, and this is why I said the All-Star thing is broken, because Paul Goldschmidt's third.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm not saying Anthony Rizzo's not good.
Exactly. I'm not discounting Rizzo. I think he should be the starter.
Yeah.
But Paul Goldschmidt, wow, man. To say that he's third, man, he deserves a spot still.
And one quick thing why I say the thing's broken. You're telling me you couldn't find a number 5 first baseman better than John Jaso for the All-Star game? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you're going to be
Matt
kidding.
Adams in the past 2 weeks has hit better than John Jaso.
Sure.
Oh, the whole year. I personally thought the John Jaso signing for the Pirates was just weird. I don't think that you should go for an on-base percentage guy for a first baseman. I think that's dumb. But this is why I think the All-Star thing's broken. Granted, he doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of making the starting spot. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about that. But but it's broken. We'll just go with it's broken.
Moving on, second base. It's a pretty close race, actually. Ben Zobrist is first. Daniel Murphy is second. I've never been a big fan of Ben Zobrist, but personal bias aside, he's up by about 400 to 500,000 votes. I'm not going to do the math in my head because I'm not a math major. But Daniel Murphy does deserve a spot either way, in my opinion. Ben Zobrist, if he gets a starting spot, I'm not going to be mad because of the season he's having. Neil Walker's in third, but he's in third by,
a lot.
It's Zobrist and Murphy, and then everybody else, and everybody else doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, like there's a fight right now for 3, 4, and 5 in the voting.
Exactly. It's a dumpster fire. Third base, I don't want to go into it too much again. Chris Bryant is up by about Alex. I'm doing this math right again. It's about 500,000 votes.
Yeah.
Arenado is second, and then Matt Carpenter is third, but he's so far back of Arenado that it doesn't matter at this point. From the fan vote. From the fan vote, I think Carpenter will still get a spot. Shortstop.
Just real quick. It's broken.
Oh, no, there's no doubt it's broken. Yeah, and next week's show or the week after that, or whenever I get back and do our next podcast, we'll talk about how it's broken. But anyway, for shortstop, Addison Russell is at first. No, he's in first. Sorry. Trevor Story's in second. Brandon Crawford's in third, but I don't think Crawford has much of a chance looking at it. Addison Russell, very worthy choice. Trevor Story, also a very worthy choice. I don't have any issues with it. Russell's on top by about 300,000 votes, so that could still change too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a National League shortstop who's, top of the list going to make it every single year anymore. Yeah. So that one, it's not really broken. It's on the most of the ones, it's the ones who should win and they're not winning.
Yeah. Outfield, outfield. I think the outfield is incredibly interesting. Dexter Fowler is in first, and yes, he is in front of Bryce Harper.
I want to shoot somebody in the face.
He's in front of him by about 200,000 votes, which I think is a national tragedy. Granted, Fowler's had a hell of a season. He's on my fantasy team, so I know what he's doing, and he's batting 300. He's getting on base at a 40% clip, and he's stealing bases and getting RBIs and doing basically everything. But I still think Bryce Harper is better. It's Jason Hayward is fourth. Alex, this is the part that just pisses me off. Jason Hayward has not done a thing for the Cubs. He hasn't done a thing, and yet he's only 400,000 votes behind Yoenis Cespedes, who's been amazing this season for the Mets.
Dude, right now, just looking at it right now. Dexter Fowler. Okay, so basically, Yoenis Cespedes can play center field. So you're basically looking at any outfielder who's better than Dexter Fowler in his voting right now. Andrew McCutchen is 7th. Carlos Gonzalez is 8th. Starling Marte is 9.
In all fairness, McCutchen's having a really bad season so far. The thing that makes me angry is Steven Piscotty and Ryan Braun. Those two need to be higher up.
No, I've talked about it before. Ryan Braun deserves no spot in the All-Star game after his PED thing. I absolutely, with a fire-burning passion, hate Ryan Braun as a player. MVP.
Oh, I hate him as a player too, but he's still having a good season.
Sit down. Yeah, but has he popped roids?
Maybe, but you could also say that about basically everybody in the league.
No, I mean Dexter Fowler, I don't think so. Bryce Harper hasn't been accused. Yoenis Cespedes hasn't even been accused. That's your top 3. Try me, Paul. Try me.
I don't have a problem with the top 3. I don't think Fowler should be in there, but
no, I mean other than that,
if he is, I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't like how Piscotty's number 11 and how Braun's 5, and maybe even Marte is 9.
See, this is why total control by the people may not work, even as a society thing and in baseball. Because
we saw last year how the Royals fan base basically put everybody on the Royals in there, and you're just thinking, oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
You're telling me that the Alcides Escobar is better than the other 14 shortstops, and no, that's not happening. You're telling me that Omar Infante is better than Robinson Cano and Dustin Pedroia? Yeah, no, that's not true. Like, you're going to tell me Dexter Fowler's better than Bryce Harper? Okay, that's fine. You take Dexter Fowler's your number 1 pick. I'll gladly take Bryce Harper or Yoenis Cespedes is number 3. Like, that is fine. Go ahead. I don't even – you're talking about guys who can hit 30, 40, Bryce Harper, 50 bombs in a season. Like – or Dexter Fowler, who's going to get on base 3 or 4 times a game. Yeah, no. Thank you.
When it comes to All-Star Game, and this is going to be my final note, when it comes to an All-Star Game, shouldn't you want to be flashy? Shouldn't you want it to be flashy? Dexter Fowler's not flashy, guys. Bryce Harper is.
No, I'll say this, though, my last point. I think that the NL, with a couple changes, Nolan Arenado at third base, for instance, that's fine. I mean, the rest of it is fine. I mean, except for the third base position, I think that, and we haven't seen the starting pitchers yet. They haven't really come out. I don't even know if they have.
No, that's decided by the manager, and my thought is that it has to be Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the NL has a really good shot this year of winning, to be honest with you. I mean, there's been a couple years where you're like, yeah, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. You're talking about Mike Trout's on the other team and all this kind of stuff. But I think that the NL has a really good shot to win this year. I can't wait to watch it. I'm excited.
Real quickly, and I just want your answer, and then we'll move on. Who do you think the starters will be? I have Kershaw, and I'm gonna go with Chris Sale.
I'm gonna go Jake Arrieta and probably Chris Sale. I mean,
Chicago starters. Wow, that'd be interesting.
I mean, with the NL between Arrieta and Kershaw, you can't go wrong. Like, there's no. I mean, you basically had a 1A and an A, and then an A1 or A half. I mean, that's gonna be your choices right there. 1A, 1/2 A. It's like they're that close to each other of dominance that I don't think you can go wrong. But I think the American League's pretty much a lockdown. Chris Sale is a stud this year. I mean, agreed. I'd like to see Marcus Stroman start, but
he's having a poor season.
More of a bias situation on that one.
All right, moving on. Check that one off the list. Next, speaking of all-star festivities, there's been a push in the past week or so to get pitchers in the home run derby. And it's coming from, well, most recently Adam Wainwright now. Let's see, who else? Gosh, there's been a whole bunch of them.
Madison Bumgarner.
Madison Bumgarner's the big one.
Jake Arrieta.
Big Arrieta and Adam Wainwright, I guess, are your 3 big names. Would you like to see this, Alex?
2 things. One, I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and we both think it's not going to happen just because you put so much money into these guys as your starting pitchers, as your aces, and you're not going to let them go out there and swing out of their shoes and, like Adam Wainwright, tear an ACL maybe again or something like that. 2, I think that it would be – I'll just say this. I think people would be glued to their television trying to watch Mad Bum hit, like, Big Mac land distance. I mean, they're in San Diego, so there's that business, I don't know what it's called, but it's right down the foul line.
Yeah, it's like the Western Metal Supply Company or whatever that is, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I would love to watch Mad Bum and Adam Wainwright and Jake Arrieta try to pepper that whole business. I would love to watch it. The thing is, if they do it, they can't do it with the rest of the home run hitters. Like, you can't put it in with them. That's not even fair. You'd have to do it separate. In my eyes, I think the All-Star, the whole week is kind of boring. I mean, you have the Home Run Derby, you have the Futures game, then you have the All-Star game. I mean, that's 3 days for an entire week. Mm-hmm. I don't see why putting in another event wouldn't hurt. Sure. I mean, from a fan standpoint. But I don't see it happening. I think it would be great. I'd love to watch it. I'd record it and watch it 400 times probably. I think it would be great to watch.
I'm exactly with you, Alex. Excuse me. I don't think it'll happen. But if it does happen, I don't think you'll see 3 pitchers in the home run derby. I think you'll see 1. And I think you'll see Madison Bumgarner because he's the best pitcher of the ones he's the best hitting pitcher of the ones who have come out so far. I think it'd be fun to watch, and I second, and I just couldn't agree more with your point of people are going to be glued to their televisions if there's pitchers hitting in the home run derby. The ratings would skyrocket. It'd be so much more fun to watch because in the past couple of years, it hasn't been all that fun to watch, to be honest with you. And just watching Madison Bumgarner try and hit home runs would be fun to watch. I don't know what else there is to say about it. The dude can hit. We've all seen it before. He doesn't have to prove himself. He can swing a bat. I don't think he's going to be sticking around with Bryce Harper or Yoenis Cespedes or Prince Fielder or whoever else is out there. So I agree. I think you have to put him separate. But even if he doesn't win the thing, if he hits like 3 home runs, that'd be worth it.
Yeah, like I said, I think the problem that you have though is if you split the pitchers from the rest of them and you have their own separate night, separate day, whatever. How are you going to find enough pitchers who can hit to? I mean, so basically the ones I think.
Maybe what you should do is, you know how last year they started that whole bracket thing. Maybe have like a typical power hitter bracket and then a pitching bracket and then the winners face off.
Well, I wouldn't even do it like that. My thing is how many pitchers do you plan on? I can think of 4 pitchers right now off the top of my head, maybe 5 that can hit, who like to hit.
Man, I don't even know. I think Bumgarner, Arrieta, Wainwright.
Yeah, Leak is my 4th, and then David Price has hit in batting practice before. He's hit dingers in batting practice, but
the pitchers. It's not a coincidence, but the pitchers are going to have to come from the National League for obvious reasons because pitchers in the American League can't hit. I'd be all for having Bartolo Colon in the home run derby. That was fun to watch. Speaking of that,
quick, you just brought his name up. So Joey Votto hit that walk-off home run against the Cardinals a couple days ago, right? It was measured at 106 miles per hour, okay? That's his hardest hit ball this season was that walk-off home run. Yeah, up until that point. I don't know if it's changed since then. Bartolo Colon has hit 108 miles an hour ball. He hit harder than Joey Votto.
Man. Holy shit.
Okay.
That's good.
I heard that, and I almost crapped down both legs. Like, that literally, I love Bartolo Colon. I absolutely, I love Big Bart. I think he's great. I think it's awesome to see someone, nothing to Bartolo Colon, love the guy, but who's that big, who's that old, and can literally say, hey, I'm throwing you a fastball, and still strike you out. Yep.
It's fun to watch, I'll tell you what.
Sorry I got on the rant, but you said his name, and it just, something clicked. Oh, man.
That's actually a good segue into our next topic, and our final league news topic is speaking of old guys. How about Ichiro? To be honest with you, I hadn't really heard the news or that he was approaching Pete Rose's hit record until about 2 days ago, and it wasn't that big of a story, and that kind of angered me because I wanted to know about it, but that's a different story. But yeah, if you combine Ichiro's hits in the Japanese league before he came over to the major leagues in America. And so if you combine those hits and the hits he has in America, he has beaten Pete Rose's hit record.
He hasn't beaten it.
Yes, no, he has.
Tied it. Oh, yeah?
And he beat it. Yeah. He had that little 5-foot swinging bunt that he got on an infield single, and then he hit a double in his next at bat down the right field line.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the topic of debate here is, do you actually think of him as beating Pete Rose's record, even though a good portion of his hits didn't come in Major League Baseball? Because I say no, but I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, just a quick question. Since you say no, this is going to work out great. So, Pete Rose played baseball, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just follow me here. Played baseball, yes. Do they play the same baseball in Japan as they do in the American League? Same fundamental baseball, like 3 outs, inning change.
Yeah, right? If you want to say that, correct? You can.
Oh,
sure.
No, Paul, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the same baseball's played over there as it is over here. Yes. So, I mean, that pretty much can sum up my argument. It's the same baseball game.
But
it's
okay,
the same player. He's doing the same thing that he did over there as he's doing over here. All the guy's done since he's come over here is played stellar defense. I don't think Ichiro has an ass left because he's run it off. Like Ichiro has run and run and run and run and run and ran a little bit more forever. Like I personally have always been a fan of Ichiro. I love him everywhere he's gone. I kind of upset me the fact that he wasn't a starting outfielder for the Marlins, but that's just bias there because I know he's like 60 years old and
42. Yeah,
it's still hitting base hits. He might hit a dinger a season, but
okay, I'm gonna exaggerate this a little bit so you can see my point. Do they play the same baseball in what's that? Do they play the same baseball in the Dominican Republic as they do in America?
Yeah.
Okay. But my thing is that the quality of baseball hasn't been the same as it is in the Dominican Republic or Japanese baseball as it is in America. Japanese baseball is referred to a lot as AAA, as like the American equivalent of AAA baseball. In South Korean, I've heard is sometimes equivalent to AA. I know when Sang-won-oh came over, some people were saying it was AA baseball. Agree or disagree with that. It is what it is.
Quick thing though, Sang-won-oh is making batters look like,
and he deserves
they're standing still. Like they're standing still. So
right.
And you can't bring up Dominican baseball, Paul, without having someone who has had half of their career in the Dominican Baseball League and then come over here, Paul. Okay,
but
I used Ichiro.
Pete Rose is, at least before yesterday, was the unquestioned king of hits. He had the most hits. No one's doubting it. But if you get, I think it was like 1,000 of your hits overseas, that's not Ichiro's fault. I'm not faulting him for that. All I'm saying is that it's different. I don't think you can equate 1,000 hits to Japan to 1,000 hits in America.
To be fair, I'm not in my eyes. Pete Rose deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that's a whole other discussion.
We're coming up with a lot of different topics here, and I like that.
Yeah. I believe that he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. I'm not taking anything away from Pete Rose. He didn't cheat from steroid perspective. He bet on his team. But he didn't bet on his team to lose. He wasn't throwing games. He was betting on them to win. So that's a whole other discussion. Just kind of throwing it out there. If you didn't know, here's the thing. I'll tell you, I don't believe Pete Rose. If Pete Rose's career started today, if he was the same player, I don't think he has as many hits.
No, yeah, because the pitching's better. No doubt.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So if Japan baseball, he played 1,000 hits or something like that. It was maybe more than that, a little bit.
I don't know the exact number, but it was over 1,000.
So he had we'll say over 1,000 hits in Japan, and you're saying it's less baseball. Pete Rose had all of his hits with lesser baseball than what is today. Ichiro is still getting it done today. He went from what you're saying, AAA baseball having 1,000 hits. I mean, there's some players in baseball now who won't get 1,000 hits. Like
yeah, they'll have more strikeouts than hits for sure.
Yeah, exactly. They won't have 1,000 hits. He went there, played. I don't know how many years it was. You're good, a couple of years, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. And then came over here and picked it up like it was nothing. Just started hitting, raking. I don't believe – I think the reason people say it's like AAA is because the ballparks are smaller in Japan. So a guy that can hit 50 bombs in Japan may only hit 25 here in the States, which now that is a fair comparison. But when you're comparing Ichiro, who I don't think has hit more than 5 home runs in a season, that whole Japan to America, the base hits that are over there are over here too. He's not – that's not a difference.
But where do you stop? Okay, as you were saying all that, I just pulled up an article. Pete Rose was interviewed by a reporter a couple days ago, I guess, and Pete Rose said, "It sounds like in Japan they're trying to make me the hit queen. I'm not trying to take anything away from Ichiro. He has a Hall of Fame career. But the next thing you know, they'll be counting his high school hits." I mean, that's kind of a dumb statement, but he raises a point of where do you draw the line?
Professional. I'm top as high as you can go into baseball. You draw from there. If Ichiro, I don't know. I've never watched Japanese baseball. I'm from America. I don't go to Japan to watch baseball. It's not even on TV. I think it will be on TV, but I don't know if they have a farm system. I don't know if they have single A, double A, triple A. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
But you go from when he can only reach the highest level of baseball in Japan. So you cut that line right there. Basically, after AAA in the States, basically when they make it up to the big club, you draw that line right there. And in my eyes, if you draw that line from right there and can tell me from his start of his professional, absolutely professional career till now has hit more baseballs and for hits than Pete Rose, I count every single one of them.
Another point that Rose made in this article that I'm reading, he says, "Hey, if we're counting professional hits, then add on my 427 career hits in the minors. I was a professional then too." And my comment to this is, if AAA baseball is the equivalent, quote unquote, to Japanese baseball, then you should add on his 427 minor league hits too.
This is where he's going to say, where do you draw the line? And then he's going to say something like that. This is what I don't understand. I am not taking not one single thing away from Pete Rose.
No, he was good.
He's still going to be valued as the top hitter to ever play the game. Ichiro, it really depends on who you talk to, if he's higher or if he's not. My thing is, it's not Ichiro's fault he was born in Japan.
No.
I know you're not saying that. I'm talking basically if you're Pete Rose, I'm talking to Pete Rose is what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not Ichiro's fault he's born in Japan. He went over there. Like, this is how things went. He got so good, and this is happening more and more now. But he was one of the very few Japanese players that were sought after to come back over here. Like, you're talking about a Seattle Mariners team with, like, Ken Griffey Jr., who were actually fairly good back in that time, who sought after Ichiro, who wanted to go get him. Okay? Pete Rose was born in the U.S. Like, there wasn't – he was drafted by a team. He went up through that team, played for that team, and just went on with his career. He was a sought-after piece, but he wasn't like, hey, let's pay – God knows amount they brought him over just to interview him. Like, the way that it works is you have to pay the team to interview the player. Right. You're talking about a couple of maybe an under half-hour conversation, and you're paying millions of dollars for.
Mm-hmm. And that happened this past offseason with a number of Asian players that came over.
Exactly.
Now, I think Pete Rose's comments are a little – I'm not going to say they're off base, but I think he takes it to the extreme. However, his main point, I agree with, is where do you draw the line?
At the professional level.
But if that professional level isn't as high a quality, why? Okay. What's a country that plays baseball but isn't all that on the map? What about like Venezuela or something?
The Netherlands.
Or some European or some team that competes in the World Baseball Classic on
Australia.
That's European and that maybe has a league, but it's not. No one cares about it. So we'll take Australia. If Australian baseball, they have their top league, but if their league sucks, why should you bring those hits over?
Real quick, just click real quick. When you sign a player, when you have contract control of a player, quick question for you, Paul. Just answer me real quick. Do you have the control to send the player down to the minors, cut, release, trade if the player is not performing at the level that you think that they should?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Excuse me. Ichiro, who you're saying is AAA baseball, or that's what
I'm not saying. All I'm saying is
Paul, that's what you're saying, Paul. What
I
you
said
say?
that people have equated. Again, like you, I've never watched one pitch of Japanese baseball. I couldn't tell you a thing about it. I couldn't name one team. I couldn't name one player. Whatever. But all I know is that people have equated Japanese baseball to AAA in America. I don't know that to be the case. I'm just going off what people said, which can also be very wrong. Don't get me wrong. People can be very wrong a lot of the time. But that's all that's all I know about it. So that's all I have to go off of.
Okay, just to finish this point real quick. People, including Paul Epi from the 11th inning stretch, say that AAA baseball is the equivalent to Japanese baseball. If that were the case, since he's come over, I don't think he spent a day of his major league career in the minor leagues. So if he's AAA quality, then why hasn't he been down to AAA? Why has he been in the States?
Just because the teams might be AAA quality doesn't mean the players are going to be AAA quality.
Thank you, Paul.
Do you think Colton
still good?
Do you think Colton Wong is AAA quality?
Yes. Colton Wong sucks huge anus this year. It's garbage this year. He's lucky he was on the starting roster for as long as he was. In my eyes, he should have been sent down a month ago.
He should have been sent down, but I don't think he's a AAA player. Like when I think of a AAA player, I think of like a career guy who is maybe gonna play a game or two in the major leagues.
Okay, Paul, real quick. Ichiro hits one straight up the middle. Basically cut second base directly in half in Japan. Base hit, correct?
Yes.
If he does the same thing in the States, are you telling me it's not a base hit? If he puts it in the 5-6 hole, if he puts it in the 5-6 hole, if the quality of the pitching, what, Paul? You're saying Yu Darvish is crap? You're saying Kenta Maeda is crap?
The teams might be of lesser quality, but the players themselves on an individual level may not be. That's why we've seen some players come over to the better Major League Baseball in America, which is better than Japanese. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming over.
Quote unquote.
I just feel like if the pitching isn't the same and it's of lesser quality, it doesn't invalidate him, but it's something to think about.
But the also thing you have to think about too, and just so everybody knows, me and Paul are not getting into an argument. We're trying to tell everybody's sides. I don't hate Paul any less than what I already did. I'm just playing. But the thing is you're going to tell me, like, okay, Clayton Kershaw, really good pitcher in the States. But you're going to tell me somebody like, for instance, Dan Straley, who's pitching for the Reds today, is the same quality as Clayton Kershaw? I bet you could find 30 pitchers in Japan that are 100 times better than Dan Straley.
Probably.
And he's starting for the Reds.
Well, this shows how bad the Reds are, too.
But that doesn't matter, Paul. It's a hit in Japan is a hit in the U.S. I don't care if he's cutting the 5-6 hole right in between the third baseman and shortstop. Hit. If he's hitting it dead if he bunts for a single. Japanese, if you haven't noticed, real quick, Japanese players, there's nothing against any of us overweight American players, but Japanese players are really fast, super quick. Defense is fast, running is fast, everything's fast. He gets bunt base hits in Japan. Your third baseman probably runs 112 miles an hour just as a jog, and he's beating out bunt base hits in Japan. Like that, his hits count. He's beaten Pete Rose. He'll never get the overall satisfaction of beating Pete Rose because it's not all from the States. In my eyes, his hits should count. Ichiro is a Hall of Fame player, no doubt. He's not going to be the hit king of the U.S. because I don't even think that he wants to be known as the hit king of the U.S. Ichiro is true to his Japanese roots, and I love that about Ichiro. He's never forgot where he's come from. He's very humble. His hits count. In my eyes, he's above Pete Rose. But like I said, he won't. I mean, I'll probably refer to him. I'll probably refer to Pete Rose as the greatest hitter of all time and the hit king. That's just how it is.
We were talking about character issues earlier. I don't think Pete Rose is the greatest model citizen out there, and I think Ichiro is
not okay.
Gambling's not okay.
Gosh,
When you're managing, gambling is not okay. If you want to go to the casino and go ahead and hit up the slots, I'm not going to judge you. But if you're betting on games as a manager, then yeah, I'm going to judge you. Ichiro is 10 times the more moral person than Pete Rose is. I don't fault Ichiro for being born in Japan. I don't fault him for playing in Japan. All I'm saying is that when you're comparing these two leagues in these two time periods, you have to draw lines that probably aren't fair. You have to compare these two leagues and two time periods and players and situations, and that probably isn't fair. I'm not saying Ichiro isn't and Pete Rose is the all-time hit king. All I'm saying is that it's hard to figure out who is, and I don't really know how to explain it. But
I mean,
you're going to have a large group of people who say Pete Rose is. You're going to have a large group of people who say Ichiro is, and the conversation is going to continue for years. I don't have much else to say on that. We need to get to some Cardinal news. Do you have anything else for Pete Rose?
Just real quick. The thing you have is it's like comparing an outfielder to an infielder who's better. You can't. It's different. Yeah. It's different position. It's a whole different thing. You can't really compare Pete Rose, who played in a whole different time frame than Ichiro. You can't compare Ichiro to Pete Rose because they played in different countries. This isn't a conversation made for an argument. This is a conversation meant on facts and your personal opinion. You can't really. That's why I think the Hit King thing is kind of wrong, because you can't really compare. I don't think anybody playing from start to finish in America will ever reach Pete Rose. The pitching's different. The skill level is completely different.
The strikeouts are way up. People just don't get on base. It's more home runs or strikeouts. Yeah,
exactly. But the thing is, though, does he get a better spot in the Hall of Fame for being Hit King? No.
Who, Ichiro or Pete Rose?
Pete Rose. I mean, Pete Rose isn't even in the Hall of Fame.
No, and that's a whole different discussion about whether he should be in or not. But no.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, they basically they're both Hall of Fame players. I mean, Pete Rose and Ichiro are gonna.
Right. Of course, no one. I'm not doubting that.
Should be and will be in the Hall of Fame. So he doesn't get any more. I mean, he gets a commercial every now and then for being a Hit King, for being basically Pete Rose, but he doesn't get anything special. I mean, we're arguing over a title that literally means nothing. I mean, it's in the record book, but no one's going to be like, "Oh, Pete Rose, don't mess with him. He's the Hit King." Yeah. No, that's not at all what it is. It's just he played really well for a long time, and
so did Ichiro.
Exactly. In my eyes, Pete Rose is by far probably the greatest or one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and so is Ichiro. And you're comparing two different styles too. Ichiro didn't hit many home runs, and Pete Rose hit home runs. I mean, you're comparing so many different X factors in this that it's so hard to come up with a valid point that, I mean, Albert Einstein wouldn't be able to figure out who's the Hit King. I mean, that's just so how much different it is. But like you said, this conversation go on forever. Let's jump into some Cardinal news because I'm ready to learn on what's going on with the boys.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Cardinals a little bit too. So the big thing is that the Cardinals last weekend swept the Pirates in Pittsburgh, which you tell me how many times that's happened the past, 3 or 4 or 5 years. The Cardinals never win in Pittsburgh. The Pirates never win in St. Louis. But sure enough, the Cardinals swept the Pirates in Pittsburgh, and there's been a lot of talk about this is going to jumpstart the Cardinals season. And it very well might.
Yeah, it completely caught me by surprise. I have a girlfriend that has 2 kids. I'm running left and right. I work every day. I have 3 softball games a week. I'll be honest. I look at Cardinal stuff as much as I can. It totally went right past me that the Cardinals swept the Pirates. Like, it was one of those things like, man, Cardinals won't sweep them. They might win 1, maybe 2, blah, 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 and just keep going on. And then they swept them. I go, holy crap. I didn't even know that it happened.
Yeah.
It caught, I would say, if anybody, it probably caught almost every Cardinal fan by surprise.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a shame that the Astros took both from them, but, I mean, that wasn't like
the Cardinals won 1. Oh, no, they didn't.
No, yeah, the Astros took both. And,
oh, yeah.
But
my bad.
that wasn't really an abomination of a series. The Astros pitching was pretty good. You're not going to win them all, and the Cardinals aren't going to score 8 runs every game, especially against pitching that they've never seen before in the Astros. But yeah, I mean, it caught me by surprise too with the Pirates. And the Pirates are sort of on a skid right now. They just got demolished against the Mets, I think.
Hey, speaking of, since you just said that, I'm watching TV. Just a quick update: the Mets are not interested in Jose Reyes.
Wow, I mean they're the ones that got rid of him in the first place.
Yeah,
not
just
surprised.
Come across national television. Mets are not interested in Reyes.
Thanks, Alex, man. That's groundbreaking journalism.
I know. I don't even know why I don't have a job yet. Like, for real, I don't even know.
But for the Cardinals, I don't have too much to say, other than just to reiterate the fact that the month of June is gonna really tell what kind of team the Cardinals are. Rangers, and then Cubs, and then the Mariners. Yeah, I mean, putting in Trevor Rosenthal last night against the Astros in a non-save situation, I don't like. I just don't think putting him in. I mean, he hasn't been as good this season as he was last year. Now, granted, last year's stats and last year's performances is hard to live up to again. But there's no doubt that he has not been as good this season. And putting him in a non-save situation like that last night when the Cardinals are still within striking distance, and then Rosenthal came in and then he blew the game wide open for the Astros. I still think the bullpen management can be a little shaky on Matheny's part, but the bullpen hasn't been the issue, so I don't fault him.
No, and here's my thing is, we got to bring in the closer, get him some work. They're winning by 14 runs.
I don't agree with that.
No. Yeah. You're talking about a guy who pitches 1 inning, 3 outs. He can throw like an inning in a bullpen. Like, he doesn't need the work. No. Trevor Rosenthal busts 99 into the catcher's mitt like 15 times. It's what he does. It's what he's always done. He's not one of the guys that, we got a nasty curve, maybe a slider. He's not Chapman. Chapman is in a whole other league of closers, and I don't know why the Yankees want to trade him. You're talking about a guy who can throw 101, 102, screaming fastball and drop an 85-mile-an-hour slider. Like, that is just if he used that right, it would be crazy.
Sure.
I don't like using catchers in no save opportunities. I feel like their job is for save
opportunities, right?
Yeah. So don't use them if that's not part of their job. Like, you have other pitchers who can do it. Bowman, I don't like at all, so I don't really think he should be in the bullpen. But you could use him. Tyler Lyons is in there.
Jonathan Broxton.
Anything like that. And to be fair, Tyler Lyons might be able to start on a couple other staffs. I like Tyler Lyons a lot, but you could use him just to throw an inning. You have the setup guys. Don't use them if you don't need them. You have a closer. Don't use them if you don't need them. That's like putting a shortstop at first base just because he needed some work fielding some ground balls. So I'm just going to slap him at first base. Like, that doesn't work like that. You're not going to see Jed Jerko catching. Well, he needed to keep his eye on the ball, so we're just going to put the catcher's gear on him. And
Jed Jerko needed some catching work. He needed to,
Yeah. Randall Grichuk's going to play some third base for us tonight. He's not really reading the ball on the ground very well, so we're going to have him try to catch piss rockets all night. That doesn't happen. That's just not just how it works. You have a certain job that you're signed for. Do that job. If it's 14-2, Trevor Rosenthal doesn't need to pitch. That. I mean, that's just how it goes. If the starter gives up 13 runs, he doesn't deserve to pitch. Time to move on. That's just how that works. You have a certain. I just don't understand why the closer's position is different from everyone else. If it's not a save opportunity, if he can't get a save, don't use him.
If he cannot win the game for you, exactly. There's really no point in using him.
Exactly. Don't use him because if you're down by 4 runs, he's not gonna while he's pitching hit a grand slam like that. No, it doesn't happen. He's there to save the game for you so that you get the win and move on to the next day. If that's not possible, leave his ass in the bullpen. Yeah. Bring in somebody else.
Exactly.
That's just how it works.
Yeah,
speaking
no,
of,
I'm not gonna comment because I second everything.
exactly. Quick thing. Speaking of what you said about the Cubs bringing up players and stuff, they're bringing up a third catcher, Wilson Contreras, to join their team. They're going to run 3 catchers.
So they have Montero and Ross, and now this new guy.
Yeah,
He's probably a stud too.
Yeah, it just came across. Ken Rosenthal just reported it. That's other news. I'm trying to give you guys as much as we can. We're going a little long, so might as well just give you the information.
Yeah, might as well.
Exactly.
Go 9 yards.
But I mean, the Cardinals have a lot of things that I think should change. In my eyes, Moss should never start a game in the outfield. I view him as a first baseman. Stephen Piscotty is better. That's just how that works. I think Matt Adams should start at first base. He's deserved that spot.
Until he proves otherwise, yeah.
Exactly. He's deserved that spot. I don't care what it is. I think when Pena gets better, I think you run 3 catchers and drop down Grichuk to work. Granted, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to be a GM. That is not my job. No one should listen to me when it comes to that. You have a lot of players or a lot of fans who don't think clearly. Like, there's a lot of people that go, "Oh, Matt Carpenter went over 4 with 4 strikeouts. Time to
fire John Mabry. Fire John Mabry."
That's another thing too. This is Cardinal news. Got into a conversation the other day about a guy saying, we talked about it a lot. Everybody's wanting to fire John Mabry. But when the Cardinals are doing good, they want to keep John Mabry. I, through a hole, think John Mabry might be in the bottom 10 of the hitting coaches in the league. Mm-hmm. He's a coach. That's fair to him. He's doing a lot better job than what I could do. I'll tell you this. I think Mark McGwire was a 10 times better hitting coach than John Mabry was, and will ever be.
The offense proved it.
And the offense was there.
There's no reason to argue that. I agree.
Exactly. John Mabry, in my eyes, wouldn't be a hitting coach on a lot of other teams. He's on this one because Mike Matheny and him are really good friends. Mike Matheny probably wouldn't be a manager on other teams. He was just given a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mike Matheny, but I do not like John Mabry overall for a long time span of a hitting coach. And I've never been like that. And a lot of people have the wrong perception. Oh, they're doing bad. Fire John Mabry. My idea has been the whole time, fire John Mabry and get Mark McGwire back. Like, I've never once said, no, we think John Mabry, we need to keep him. Yeah, he's good. He's real good.
Yeah.
No, that's never been it at all. I will back him, though, when everybody all of a sudden turns on him. When you just liked him a week ago, and then now you're turning on him saying fire him. That's not fair. That was just a huge conversation we had. I wanted to make sure my point was clear on that. But I other than that, Cardinal news is running really low. For real.
Yeah. And that's the reason why we spent 45 minutes covering the rest of the league and about the last 5 covering the Cardinals. You're sort of in a lull right now at the Cardinals. You're right before the All-Star break, where there's a break, and you can recap the first half and look where you're going and look where other teams are going. And you're stuck like right between that and the first third of the season, and they're just starting to rattle off games, and there's not a whole lot to comment on.
Yeah, you're the dog days of the season now.
The offense is doing fine. The pitching is getting better. The bullpen's still one of the best. What else is there to say, to be honest? Yeah,
to be honest, like I'm going to say right now, I think here coming up soon through the All-Star break, our podcasts are probably going to go a lot longer. There's a lot more going around in the whole rest of the league than there is just on the 30 or the 25-man roster for the Cardinals.
Especially with the trading deadline coming up in a little over a month. That's going to be. Yeah. We're going to have some stuff to say on that for sure. Especially even with the Cardinals, who should they get? Because I think they're going to have to make a move, in some direction. But that's going to be a big news, and a lot of topics and a lot of talking time will be devoted to that.
And just a quick thing, from what I've heard, the Yankees are trying to trade Aroldis Chapman. I don't know why. The Cubs apparently were very interested in that. I would love to see the Cardinals go after him. I would.
Yeah,
That
and
would be
I
great.
think I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That's something that we'll get into for sure. Yeah, if think of if the Cubs sign Chapman or Miller, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah. Other than that, I have nothing else. This one ran really long. There's a lot going on. A good discussion with old Pete Rose and Ichiro, which I'm sure will spark up again at some point in time. I have nothing else, Paul.
No, I have one quick note with a programming note. Next week, like we've been saying on the previews, I will be out of town. I'm actually going up to Seattle to see one of the Cardinal games up in Seattle next weekend. So I'll provide some pictures for that.
Robinson Cano?
Yeah, I'll get a picture with Robinson Cano as well. And I'll send that right to you, Alex.
Thank you.
So, we will do a preview for the Mariners. I will have time next week, but a podcast, I'm not sure about if there's going to be a podcast. It'll probably be a short one. I would like to get one in, although there's no guarantee. With the fact that I'm 2 hours behind Central Time and Alex, that also kind of screws things up.
Yeah.
So if you don't see us next week, we'll for sure be on the week after. But if we are on next week, I might just tweet out the link to this podcast. So because these topics it doesn't matter when you report them. I mean, there are pretty good topics that we have discussed, and I could just retweet that link out for next week's podcast as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to over the All-Star break, just because it hit me real quick. I'd like to try and figure out a way where we could do like a live show.
Yeah,
get it up live. So if you do watch these and you think either we're the dumbest people you've ever heard, you want to prove to somebody that we are, or if you think that we're funny and you like listening to us, or if you think our points are right on and you totally agree with us, tell people about us. I'd really love to do a live show, answer some questions, talk. I don't know how long. Probably, I'm going to assume if it goes right, maybe an hour, I would assume. So, tell everybody. If you think that we're junk, then obviously don't tell anybody, because there's a lot of people that may think that. But we're trying to get some people to follow us. We'd love to do a live show, answer your questions. If you think Paul, his room looks very bare in the background with his doors, shout that out. If you think the Cub flag behind him is really awkward, say something.
I want to explain that real quick. You're not going to see the video on the podcast, but I'm moving out of the way, and right behind me there's a Cub flag, and it's that W flag. I had read online a couple years ago that it's bad luck for the Cubs if you hang it sideways. And Alex, please verify for me that is indeed hanging sideways.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think you're lying to everyone.
That is hanging sideways.
No, it is very much hanging sideways.
So yeah, I read that it's bad luck if you hang it sideways. So what I did was I bought a flag and I hung it up sideways, in hope that the Cubs have bad luck. Now, so far, I've had that up there for a couple of years. So far, it has been my best friend because the Cubs haven't won crap. Now that the Cubs are good, we will see if that flag works. If it does work, I'm going to keep it up. If it does not work, down it comes.
Paul, you can't just drop it. That's bad juju. It's worked for so long, and you're just going to take it down?
Okay.
No.
That's a fair point. But yeah, I'll take a picture of the flag, and I will tweet it out and put it on Facebook, and I will reference the article if I can still find it. It's a couple years old.
So like I said, if
you see a Cubs W flag behind me, that's the reason.
He's a secret Cubs fan.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago.
But if you want to shout out stupid things like that, for real, I can see a little screen, but behind me is a Jason Witten fathead. I'm a Cowboys fan.
I hate the Cowboys. That's a whole different discussion, though. We'll do it during the All-Star break.
So if you have a problem with that, say something. If you want to ask a serious question and want to bring up a discussion about it, ask. We want to do this show for you guys, and I'm hoping we can get a live show going on. I think it'd be awesome. I can't wait. But I'm going to get off here because this podcast went really, really long.
We are running at 1 hour right now. That's all I got, Alex. We'll be back hopefully next week. If not, then the week after.
Fair enough.
That's all I got. Once again, for Alex Schneider, my name is Paul Epi. Thank you for joining us on this extended version of the Weekend Review podcast for the 11th inning stretch. We are signing off for now. Have a good day.